Tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou, tēnā koutou ki ngā tangata whenua o te tauihu. Ko Riki Parata tōku ingoa, kaitahu mamoi waitaha a te awa ki whakarongotai a ngā iwi. So kia ora koutou, my esteemed colleagues will introduce themselves when they present, but I'm only the opening act. This is the main event here. But we'll just get into it, a bit of context stuff. So we're kaitahu, we work for and with the Hokonui Runanga down in Gore, so you might hear me roll my R's a little bit, but we're right down here in Hokonui. This is a catchment we work in. Here, this is Southland, or Murihiku ki te toka, and we predominantly do our mahi in the Mataura Catchment, which is this one here. So this on the other side is a bit of a zoomed in version, predominantly dairy along here. This is Gore right here. And this is where we undertake a lot of our wai Māori mahi. We do quite a bit of stuff, cultural monitoring, freshwater, kākahi, tuna, kaura. But the main event, while we're here today, is our kanakana, or kanikani, or piharau for you northerners. It is in decline for where we are, and this is from kōrero, from our tipuna and from our kaumātua, historical records, photos, even since I was a young fella, these have been declining. So that's upon us now to do something about it, and we're going to just talk about what we are up to down there. We're not going to get too much into the results. If you want to talk about that, feel free to come and have a kōrero with us. We're just going to talk about kind of the stuff that we're up to. But we're very thankful to Wai Māori for inviting us here. We took this as an opportunity. We want to share our knowledge, so anything you want to know, feel free to come up. We're here for a couple of days, and even after the conference, feel free to email us. Just a tautoko to two stalwarts, Riwi Anglam, who's passed now, but he was a huge stalwart for the Mataura and for kanakana, and Dr. Jane Kitson, who's still with us, but she couldn't be here today. But without these two, we wouldn't be doing the mahi we're doing. I'd love to go through and individually name everyone who's supporting us in our kanakana mahi, but we haven't got the time. But these partners, our relationships are crucial to us. Yes, they bring funding, but we only partner with people who empower us as Māori and do what we want to do. And that includes industry, not just Crown partners. And a huge mihi to Wai Māori, who's been supporting us for a number of years now. So this is a special place for us, Te Nui Pia Pia Kanakana, the black and white photos from the 1890s. And that's what our Mataura Falls used to look like before industrialisation. Hugely significant kanakana harvesting area for kaitahu. By all accounts, whānui as far from Kaiapoi used to come down to harvest. A lot like the white tuna, the whitebait stands of today were along here, and a lot like the raru that comes with those whitebait stands too. So on the other side is what it looks like today. We've got the meatworks in the white building and the paper mill in the red building. This bit here is this bit here. So you can see the effect that it's had on not only our kanakana but all our migratory species coming through here. They're still active today too. They're both hydro plants. So just some of the mahi we've been doing. So last year we took these methodologies, electrofishing, eDNA and pheromone samples, and we went out and physically looked for our amicetes or juvenile kanakana. And when we found them with electrofishing, we put in our eDNA samples and pheromone. We only had 4 pheromones at the time, so we only did 4 sites, but we only got back 1 positive site. So it's just kind of highlighting those limitations of these tools. But this year, we're giving it another go, more sites, and we've partnered with Cawthorne, who have using a specific eDNA to highlight kanakana. So we're pretty excited about getting that underway. And just lastly from me, for those who don't know, lamprey reddening syndrome, it's becoming a bit of an issue for our kanakana. We still don't know the cause, but we're grateful to be part of the Emerging Aquatic Diseases Program, which is an Endeavour bid from Cawthorne. And we've developed a non-lethal sampling method for our kanakana, just swabbing them, sending them away, and then releasing them again. We are trying to figure out the differences between just bruising and LRS as well. So this is an ongoing study. We're just at the start of it. So that's all from me. I'll hand it over to Tane for the good stuff.
Kia ora koutou, ko tānei tamati tōku ingoa, ko tūhoi, ko kaitahu, ko katimamoi, ko waitaha o ku iwi. Nō reira, today I'm going to present some of our mahi that we've been doing on developing an artificial intelligence model to remotely detect kanakana and monitor kanakana using RoboFlow. Firstly, I would like to thank Te Wai Māori, Plant and Food Research, Contact Energy and Bioheritage, our partners for this project. So, let's figure out how the hand of God works. So we have two cameras installed down at Te Aonui. We have one camera on the side of Alliance, the meatworks, and another camera installed down on the paper mill side. These cameras are connected to a NVR or a network video recorder, and it is wirelessly beamed, and we can access it on our phones and also on our computers as well. So yeah, if you want to come and see a live feed down at the falls on our phones, haere mai, come and see us after this. We then collect and collate the images that we receive on RoboFlow, and then we organise them and label them. So we draw boxes around kanakana, identifying individual kanakana or groups of kanakana, for example. We then process the images by formatting them, and we can apply a series of augmentations to the images as well, which just increases the data that's going through to develop the model. We then train the model on RoboFlow, and during this process we can always go back and repeat the steps if we're not happy with the outcome of the model. So yeah. This is an example of one model that we have going at the moment. The red boxes here are identifying groups of kanakana, and the yellow boxes are identifying individual groups of kanakana. It's currently set up at the rate of 50% confidence and 50% overlap allowance. As you can see, the model at this stage doesn't have very good precision or recall rate, and the MAP basically means accuracy is also quite low, but the II does do quite a good job at detecting kanakana. Here we have decreased the confidence to 10%, but kept the overlap rate at 50%. We can see that it's doing a better job at detecting kanakana, however it's introducing outliers such as weed and sticks and twigs. So we need to develop that better. And ways to do that is just increasing the images that we have in there at the moment. So we have 120 images that have been annotated in the model at this stage. And we would need to get that up to around 500, 1,000 images. And also by doing more augmentations on the images itself when we go to train the model. And this is another model that we have, which is detecting red spots on kanakana, which may be the result of either bruising or LRS. And as you can see, the precision and the recall and the accuracy on this model is much more greater. However, we've only had one instance of this particular environment recorded at this stage. So of course it can't be very robust or transferred to other areas that we're monitoring at. But with more development, we'll be able to get it down pat. And the importance of the AI so far is obviously being down at the falls previously, we had to manually monitor kanakana, and it was a massive health and safety risk to us. And so that's one benefit of the II is being able to detect them remotely, of course. And so far we've seen quite high numbers of kanakana, which were quite unexpected. And this is just it comparing with our maramataka. And interestingly enough, across all 3 seasons, the peak of the migration in kanakana has been occurring at Tamati Ao or Tamati Tuaturu. So that's very interesting there. Yeah. Kia ora.
Thank you, Tane. Ko Mollie Lyders toko ingoa, ko kaitahu ka te mamoe waitaha te iwi. As Tane and Riki have presented, there's been a historical decline in the number of kanakana on the Mataura awa, and it's really got us thinking of ways that we can start, bringing back those numbers on the awa. In May this year, Riki and I, thanks to BioHeritage, were lucky enough to take a trip to the USA to learn more about how other Indigenous communities are dealing with the loss of their taonga species. The journey took us to Washington and Oregon states to meet members of the Yakama Nations tribe and the Umatilla Confederate tribe to learn how they are reviving their lamprey numbers. As you can see from these photos, there's quite a few similarities in our cultural harvesting sites. So the picture on the left there is the Willamette Falls in Portland, Oregon, and that is a significant spot for both tribes for not only harvesting lamprey but also salmon as well. And the photo on the right there is the Mataura Falls. Both sites are surrounded by industry, and it has really had an effect on how we can use them as food sources. For the Yakama Nations and the Umatilla Confederate tribes, this issue extends right up the Columbia River. The Columbia River is riddled with hydroelectricity dams, which has really hindered their traditional lamprey migration to the upper reaches. It got to the point where lamprey on the Columbia River were almost lost completely. To ensure that didn't happen, the Yakama Nations and the Umatilla tribes started looking at ways they could prevent this, and one of these ways was with lamprey propagation. This is the process of taking the sperm and the egg from the lamprey, mixing them together, and to ensure they are fertilised and raising them to be released at different life stages back into the awa. Over the course of the week, we got the opportunity to look around different lab sites to see how they do it. We learnt heaps of things. We learnt how to tag them. We learnt how to mix the sperm and the egg together. As you can see there, I am essentially milking the kanakana. You can tell from my face that I'm really into it. But it was a good thing to learn. Very different, very cool experience. And yeah. The most important thing, though, that we took away from that trip was the connections we made and the hospitality we were shown. Everybody we talked to gave their knowledge so freely, and it was really inspiring, something we can always cherish. The similarities between our two cultures was at times mind-blowing. It's important that we bring this knowledge back, though. So when we return home from the USA, we've started our first stages of kanakana propagation. You can see from the 2 below pictures, we've got our tank set up, which are currently housing 4 kanakana, and down at the falls there, we've got kaimahi out there harvesting the kanakana. We've also started an education outreach program. It's pretty amazing how many people in the area of the Mataura don't actually know what kanakana are. So we've started that and going out to schools, teaching about not only kanakana, but all sorts of freshwater taonga species. One school, that school there I'm presenting to, are actually doing their end of year play on the kanakana life cycle now, which is really cool. But as I said, the most important thing that we learnt from the people of the Umatilla and the Yakama Nations tribes was the importance of sharing our knowledge. So if you have any questions about this journey that we've started, please come up and talk to us. We're all on this waka together. So I'll leave here with a kanakana enthusiast, Jo. This is my auntie. She is going to kill me for this photo. But if it helps you remember the kanakana, then I'm all about it. Thank you for listening.